What's up, guys? Jeremy with Middle Tennessee Firearms Training. Welcome to the MTFT Freedom Channel podcast. Wow, we've got some good stuff ahead for you. Finally getting this rolling. We've been working on this behind the scenes. I've been working on this behind the scenes for quite some time. Have some really good plans ahead for this, but here we are kicking episode 1 off finally. And one topic that is near and dear to my heart that we are going to tackle today is competitive shooting and self-defense training. So I work in both, right? So I like to get out and do some competitive shooting, local matches. I do have plans to get into some bigger matches later this year and work my way up in some of the classifications and all that kind of stuff in the IDPA world. That's just the one that I was introduced to, and I've stuck with it, and I enjoy it. Then there's the other side of this where I am the owner and lead instructor at Middle Tennessee Firearms Training, and my wife and I teach skills that target and push self-defense training. We're not the end-all be-all, and I don't know anybody who is the end-all be-all in that training realm. I would just say continue to train, visit other instructors, get perspective from a lot of different angles, and piece it all together, because it all works pretty well together when you get several different perspectives. But we're going to tackle that here in just a minute. First, I want to tell you guys about some other things we're going to talk about. We'll lead off with this. It's 2024, so they got this thing, I don't know, it's a pretty big deal, presidential election later this year, and which reminds me of voting. Voting's a big thing. So real quick, let's talk a little bit about that. Not just voting in the presidential election, but voting in general. How can you vote? How does your vote make a difference? How can you make your vote make a bigger impact? Well, let me give you a little tip. Some of you guys out there may not know this, but when you spend your money, hard-earned money, at big businesses, local businesses, small business, wherever, the big corporate, big factory, big, box stores that you're spending your money there, that's a vote for that company to succeed. So same thing goes for small business. When you spend your money there, you're voting for that small business to succeed, to win, to keep going. You're supporting them, and you're not just supporting just the small business aspect of it. You're supporting some people that live in your community that are trying to share their passion with the community. So that is always cool. Spending your money with small business. Another great example of this would be this holster. And I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about this holster because it serves two purposes on this episode. One is we're going to talk competitive shooting, and I happen to rock this holster when I shoot IDPA, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But also it came from what I would consider early on, and they've grown a ton, but it was a small business. I agree with a lot of things that they support and that they are very open about. And instead of seeing them get canceled in the social media realm and in various different ways where the anti-gun community would prefer that this company be silenced, or even anti-free speech, anybody that's in that realm that's against that kind of stuff, this company that makes this, I'll go ahead and tell you, T-Rex Arms makes this holster. I share and agree with a lot of their opinions and their views on the way things are in our country, in our world, and a lot of the same passions in the religious aspect of it. So from what I know about this company and the people that are there, and having met a few of the people there, they are a very stand-up business. So what do I like to do? I like to support them. So I buy holsters from them. I suggest their holsters. I recommend their holsters to people. No, they did not recommend or solicit or ask or pay or give us anything free for me to say that. That is just me offering up a good, honest opinion of said company and that they do a good job with. So remember, this year and going forward, as a common theme in our episodes is going to be taking a look at small business and maybe even visiting some small and local businesses, taking a tour, talking to the guys that own and run the shops and the places like that. giving them a chance to share their passions with us, with the community. That's what I want to do. Support the local and small business across the entire country. That's what this country was all about when it was founded, and it's the very backbone of our country. And I happen to now, especially. I mean, before I'll be honest, I didn't think much of it at first, but now being a part of a small business and owning and running a small business, I absolutely can share the same level of passion now in trying to support local business and small business. So we'll talk about that more here in a minute. Remember that as we go forward this year, the impact that your dollars can have as big, if not bigger, impact than say what your vote in the presidential election is. I know some people are like, well, it doesn't matter what I vote because I live in a red state. It's going to be red no matter what, or blue state. No matter what I vote in a blue state, it's going to be blue no matter what, or whatever. I've heard it all from all sides of it. And I'm not telling you shouldn't vote. Definitely get out and vote. That's a way for your voice to be heard. Vote at the local level. The local level is really what affects change in your community, right? So that's a big deal. But the other part of it with voting with your dollars, back to voting with your dollars, that's how your voice gets in the country as a whole gets their voice heard. Give the Bud Light example, on what happened with that marketing blunder, right? They made a mistake. Bud Light made a huge mistake. And what did people do? They chose to spend their dollars elsewhere on different competitors' offerings. And that caused millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in jobs to be lost at Bud Light. And I think Bud Light may have gotten the picture. Just a thought. Another company that is suffering some losses, financial losses right now. Maybe it's not hurting them as bad as they're willing to admit on the to our faces, but deep down, it's your voice is being heard. So Disney with all the woke garbage they're putting out, it's caused people to cancel Disney Plus. It's caused people to not go see Disney movies that have woke agendas in them. There are certain things about Hollywood, movies from Hollywood. You don't want to necessarily, there's people out there that don't want to support Hollywood, but they will go and see a movie like Top Gun Maverick. Why? Because Top Gun Maverick didn't have the woke agenda in it. Other movies like that are just good movies, I will pay to go see them, and I want to see them. There's movies that come out that maybe my kids want to see and that they don't understand the woke agenda that's a part of that. I don't allow that. I try to steer my kids clear of that, and I try to steer clear of that when I see a movie coming out. I want to make sure there's no woke agenda. That way I'm not paying money at the movie theater to go see something that has this woke messaging to it, right? But I used the movie Top Gun Maverick because that was really the big blockbuster hit after COVID. Movie theaters came back after COVID. And that was a big deal, right? Top Gun Maverick, that hit home. I wanted to see that multiple times in theater to send a message to Hollywood hey, make movies like this. I'll keep going to movies. I'll keep spending monies at the movie theater. I don't need a woke political agenda in my movies where I'm supposed to be going to forget about all the political crap going on in the world and the dismal things that are happening in our country. I don't need to go see a movie that's just going to remind me of the crap that's going on. I don't want to do that. So again, voting with your dollars. Your voice can be heard loud and clear if we band together and do things like that. Target, the last example I'll give here, Target was the center of, they got on the wrong side, both sides. They got crossfire because they did stupid things like allowing men who identify as women, who are just sick in the head, thinking that they're women or want to identify as women so they could go to a women's restroom. Tell me why they would want to do that. And then Target was okay with that. Said, hey, you can do that. Transgender bathrooms, we don't have the separate bathroom. You just use the women's bathroom. I don't see women identifying as men going to the men's room for obvious reasons. Tell you what, but you don't see that. And the other thing that happened with Target was then Target pushed trans clothes, the swimsuits and things for women that had the extra baggage area. There's something extra. It's kind of like being in the automatic checkout in the line, and you put something in the bag that it doesn't recognize, and it says, unsuspected item in the bagging area. Yeah, that's basically what these swimsuits were. And they pushed that, and then they got a lot of negative feedback for that, and then they took it back. I wouldn't say took it back. They took it off front and center and moved it to like its own little section in the back of the store, and then they caught flack from the trans community for doing that. So the trans community was like angry that you were like, oh, you backed off on your support for us. And then you had the other side saying, man, all you're doing is trying to shove trans stuff down our throat here, so we don't want that. So that all, like, again, voting with your dollars. I can't stress that enough. If you find a good small local business, or it doesn't have to be in your local community. If you find a good small business that ships nationwide and is online, hint, hint, support them. Even if you have to wait a little longer, by the way, you won't have to wait long for their products. Their products happen really fast. Just throwing that out there. Again, shameless plug for them. I probably won't get any thanks for that, and that's okay. I will continue to support them for what they do. But find a small business that does their stuff online too. It's willing to ship. Support them. Support these. Find businesses that align with a lot of your beliefs and a lot of where you stand. Support those. I'm not saying don't go support this one because the owner is, Democrat or a liberal. Look, we all have different political backgrounds, and some of the older, I don't want to say Democratic, but people that used to vote Democrat 20, 30, 40 years ago will openly admit these aren't the Democrats that they voted for. This isn't the Democratic Party of that time. And the same thing can be said for the Republican Party. There's corrupt side on both sides, and I get it. So all I would say to you is support the local guys. They're trying to share a passion with the community. As long as they're not pushing some woke agenda and some kind of anti-American way, then hey, get on board with it. Support them and cancel out these bigger businesses that are trying to shove the little guys out, right? And shut the little guys down. That's what COVID did. They kept the big stores open and shut down all the local gyms, locally owned and operated gyms, places that were health clubs that are supposed to be, hey, good at keeping people in shape and healthy. And they shut those kind of places down. They shut down local, whole food stores. It was ridiculous what we saw with that. So again, to stress how we vote, yes, we can vote at the ballot box and we can make some changes there and we can affect change there. Where I think we affect a lot of change that we don't realize is where we spend our dollars. And that is huge going forward. So hit me up. I'm going to try to put together a list of some good locally owned or even just small businesses that I have shopped in the past, both online, in person for the local Middle Tennessee area. But then I'll also include places that are just small businesses that are not the big box stores that I've shopped online and they ship nationwide. So we'll talk more about that hopefully in the future. And again, I'll try to feature some of those local businesses here on the channel in a few episodes. I'd love to do that. If you are one of those small businesses here local to the Middle Tennessee area and you are interested in having us come over there and shoot on site, shoot, pun intended, video on site and kind of just give us a tour and what you're all about. I'm all about doing that. Anything to help push the local business and local small business. I'm a huge fan of that. So moving on, transitioning now. Ooh, what a term to use from that topic. Competitive shooting. So a passion of mine. I do like the competitive shooting world in the IDPA version. How did I get introduced to this? How did I find myself sucked into what is definitely a game, as you'll hear from some people we interview at some IDPA matches that we went to. It is a game, But as I figured out very early on in that game, I want again, buddy of mine, and I'll talk about him a lot throughout this because he's the reason I got involved in it. Might even be the reason that I'm sitting right here talking with you all. Not to make his head any bigger than it already is, right? You know, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. But I want to say I like to tell people within 6 or 7 matches, but it was definitely less than 10 matches. Somewhere in that 6 to 7, 10 matches tops, I had already felt in my brain a little switch going off, a little buzzer light thing just blinking at me saying, hey, are you doing this for the gaming aspect and wanting to become a grandmaster shooter and push into the world of IDPA and travel the country and shoot nationals and all this big, competitive shooting stuff? Or was I just wanting to become really good manipulating my firearm, fast and accurate, able to move and shoot, able to do things, process things, and work through situations, all with speed? And being able to do that quickly and intelligently and efficiently, proficiently with the gun and all of that stuff that goes along with it. What was it about it? And as I shot more and more matches, I realized very quick I was not in it for, yes, I enjoy the competitive aspect of it. I enjoy when I get one of those nights where everything just falls into place for me and I have a really good night shooting and finish, some of my best finishes at some of these local matches. Sure, I loved that. But deep down, it actually felt even more rewarding knowing that, hey, I had a malfunction. I worked through it so well and so efficiently and got through the stage. I didn't sacrifice a ton of time, and my overall score did not pay the price for it. I feel good about my ability to clear a malfunction quickly when my brain and everything is going, and there's this little bit of stress introduced. I love that. Or, man, my reloads tonight were perfect. I didn't fumble any reloads. Ooh, I did something different tonight. I tac magged in the middle of a stage at the perfect moment and didn't fumble the tac mag. By the way, I've also been on the other end of that where I have fumbled the tac mag and it was actually a disaster and cost me more time trying to tac mag than it would have if I had just ran the gun dry and kept going. See, the beauty of that is you learn things like that along the way. You start to expose yourself to things that you didn't realize were weaknesses, or maybe you didn't even realize you should know how to be able to do some of those things really quickly, right? So, before we dive into some interviews with the guys at the local club match where I shoot these local matches, before we get into all that, let's think about some of the pros. What are some good things about competitive shooting that would help you in the defensive realm? Well, I've said a few already, but let's rehash it, right? Being able to manipulate the gun with urgency, fast and accurate on target, processing a stage and executing when the timer goes beep. Some people think, well, it's just a game and they're not shooting back at you. You're absolutely right. They're not shooting back at you, but you still have to process what you're doing as you're doing it and stay a step ahead. Otherwise, you're just getting to a shooting position. You're doing what you're supposed to do, and you can almost see it when somebody does it. They check it off like, okay, done here. Now let's go. And that's not the object of the game. The game is to actually shoot it, and immediately being done with that shooting position, you're gone. And how does that relate to the self-defense realm? So there's some pros to that. And then just being able to reload the gun, get the gun back in the fight. Again, I mentioned the fast and accurate and being able to process things. There's so much good to this, as you'll hear from some of the guys that I shoot with. Now let's talk the self-defense side of it. Does self-defense training translate to competitive shooting? And the easiest answer is no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. There is some overlap. I think we can agree on that. But what I have seen is there are some of those things like reloading from behind cover. Like that is something that I would train to do, is to actually be able to reload from behind cover if cover was available. So what do I get critiqued on sometimes when I shoot a match is I'll lean out from behind cover, shoot at targets, gun goes empty, and as I'm reloading, my natural, because I've trained it, my natural thing is to lean back into cover, reload, and then press back out and engage. That's not the fastest way to do it competitively. That is the way to do it from a tactical standpoint of self-defense. I would not want to reload out in the wide open. I would not want to just stay out there with an empty gun. I would try to take cover while getting the gun back into the fight, right? So there are some things that don't translate. I'll give another example of where it actually did help a shooter friend of mine who helped me kick off Middle Tennessee firearms training. His name is Chris. Anybody who trained with us in that first year that we were around, Chris, very fast, very accurate, very effective, very well taught. Here's the beauty of it. Self-taught, a lot of dry fire, tons of dry fire. He would swear up and down that dry fire is king, and I would back him on that. Dry fire is big. When I got into competitive shooting, that's where I actually got good at reloads, and working on my reloads in dry fire was dry fire practice. That's huge. So Chris being able to do that, and then I finally was able to talk Chris into coming out and shooting a couple of these matches. He's never shot competitively in his life. Comes out, the first time he does it, he finishes 4th place and misses finishing first by like 3 seconds. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a 3-second penalty where he had like a procedural error that cost him 3 seconds. I kid you not. He missed finishing first out of like 40 shooters by 3 seconds. He comes back for seconds, comes back like not maybe the next match, but the next match after that. So a good maybe 4 weeks in between, and knocks first place out of the park. Like, I remember people asking me, like, who is this guy? And I'm like, he's mine. Hands off. It was fantastic to see, because it's really cool to see someone who is trained for self-defense come in and absolutely just sweep and mop the floor by shooting the way he did against competitive shooters. Now, on the same realm, I've seen competitive shooters take people who are very good in the self-defense world and mop the floor with them. Again, there's a gaming balance to it. There is, if you want to push gaming side of it, absolutely. You can start to push your times and raise your standards that way. But there are things, and we'll talk about it as we go, that don't translate, that from both sides can cause like this clash. I mentioned the reloading out from behind cover on the competitive side and from the defensive side. I don't want to do that out in the open. Here you want to keep the gun out there in the open, and you want to stay out in the open so you're not having to bring it all the way in, reassess and reacquire sights and reacquire target and so on. So there are those things. The other part of it that I think actually works a little bit on both, but it can cause some problems in the self-defense world, is the muzzle awareness. As you'll hear from guys that we interview, safety is paramount. Safety is taken very seriously. And working at an indoor range and doing these things at an indoor range or even an outdoor range, basically don't break the 180. You know, people are running around left and right. If I was running to my left, I'll pick this guy up here. Free and clear. But if I was running this way, I'd have to keep my gun oriented downrange. If I had to turn around and run back up range, again, if I'm turning and having to go to my right, I'm probably going to turn and keep gun posted this way. And various ways like that. The gun must always be, away from breaking the 180. Whereas in a defensive world, I'd rather just mind muzzle, maybe come up to a high ready, maybe go straight down, not straight down, but to a low ready, and just mind muzzle that way, keeping gun up and close to me. So, again, not every aspect translates to the other, but safety is still paramount in both realms, right? Minding muzzle is paramount on both sides. I train people. They should be able to move around other people and move around spaces and obstacles without having to orient the gun one direction the whole time. Maybe they need to come down to a low ready. Maybe they come to a high ready. Again, situation dictates. But that doesn't, again, I know we've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. It doesn't always translate to the competitive world. What I do like in the competitive side of it, though, is if you've never trained that way to move around that much, it is a nice intro into moving around with a gun while minding your muzzle. It's a nice intro to that. I've seen guys that did not point their gun in what I would deem an unsafe direction, but they broke the 180. In other words, gun came down to a low ready, or it went straight up. And that violates the safety rules for the competitive shooting world, but doesn't violate what I try to teach on the range, right? So, as you'll hear from these guys, and we'll again continue showing clips of what we're doing, how this works. I want to also tell you, if you've been on the fence about getting involved in these, super easy to get involved in a local club match. Find a range that hosts something like this. For example, Royal Range USA in Bellevue. Here's a plug for them, but they do it right over there. They've got a group of guys, the Average Joe's shooting team, who we are going to interview, a few of those guys, that run the show for IDPA on the first and third Thursday of every month. $25, 4 stages. If I was going to tell you how many rounds to bring, I'd just say go ahead and top it off at like 90 to 100 rounds. But really, if you shot everything and no makeup shots and didn't have any malfunctions and everything, and it's roughly 70 to 80 rounds, give or take. It depends on the stage. Some stages, I think every stage the goal was 18 rounds, so 18 times 4, whatever that comes out to, is like, what is that, 72-ish rounds, I think. So somewhere in that 70 to 80 rounds that would cover you. And you get 4 stages of awesomeness, and you get 35 plus other shooters. You divide up into 4 squads, and you get other guys there that, oh, look, it's male and female. We got guys and gals out there, and we're all there sharing a passion that we all have. We all support each other. I mean, sure, there's some heckling going on between guys that know each other and like to give each other a hard time. But overall, it's a very supportive atmosphere, and you'll hear from other guys too that's how we roll. How did I get to this place? How did I find out about this? So, of course, little old me, what's it been, 8 years now? Whew, wow. 2016, moved into a new house. My wife decided to have some renovations done. And, that's how it is. The wife always decides when. And painting. Obviously, we moved into a new house. She had to have some painting done. We had to have walls, different colors, and whatever. This guy shows up in 2017, 7 years ago. It'll be 7 years ago this year that he shows up to do some of these jobs and some of these gigs, and my wife is showing him what she wants done. And little did I know that this guy who's walking around, who gave us like a time frame of, yeah, we could probably do this in about 2 weeks. Probably 2 weeks. Job ended up taking probably 3 to 4 weeks, and that's because we discovered that we both liked guns and shooting guns and doing things like that. He already shot competitive shooting. He was already into some IDPA. He shot 3-gun. He likes to do that. He even traveled to do some 3-gun quite a good bit. He introduced me to IDPA. I thank him for that, because I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd still be doing what he and I joke around we call social shoots, where we just go to the range, mag dumps, and you're just doing pointless stuff, and you're not really moving in any direction at getting better. Sometimes guys need a little extra push in the right direction to help them get where they want to be. And I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. This guy helped with that. His name happened to be the same name as my wife's too, which made it even more weird. But he's a good guy. Terry Kelly, you're a good dude. I appreciate you. Appreciate your help in pushing me a certain direction, to the point of now I am, I almost said it. We'll talk later about it. We have a good time. That guy is responsible for a lot of what I do now, and I greatly appreciate the influence and impact he has had. So there, I've given all the credit where credit is due to him in that realm. Now let's get into the competitive shooting. Shoot it out to myself and the Average Joe shooting team. We'll talk to them, and then we'll bounce back here in studio and wrap it up. But guys, I can't tell you enough that competitive shooting is an amazing sport that can help you a lot. You don't have to game it. You don't have to be that side of it. You can if you want, and it's fun. But if you're caring more about the self-defense realm, I'll say this, and then we'll shoot it out to them. For those of you who want to say the cardboard's not shooting back at you, I don't know what you want. If you're looking for force-on-force training, no, this is not that. By the way, force-on-force training, after the first few times you've done it, I hear from a lot of people that say it turns into a game, because then there's people who just don't care about getting shot. They just want to see if they can get gun out and do some crazy things that they wouldn't really do. And competitive shooting, you're trying things, you're doing things, you're seeing if you can manipulate guns. And that's what force on force turns into. It turns into a game. I'll tell you this, again, the cardboard that doesn't shoot back. Special forces, army, law enforcement, military, private security, all of these, any of these realms where you have to do some firearms training and you have to do some quals or whatever, the cardboard is never shooting back. In fact, special forces, when they're training for an op, they train on cardboard. They set the building up the way it needs to be, the way they believe it's going to be, the way the intel tells them, hey, this building is kind of shaped like this, and this is kind of what we think the rooms look like, and we think there's 25-ish bad guys there. What do? They set that up, and they throw some cardboard targets in, and they run it. And they train on cardboard. Then they go out and do the mission, kill the bad guy, whatever, come back, and what do they start doing to train for the next mission? They shoot more cardboard. You don't even get any kind of help from me on the realm of cardboard doesn't shoot back. Like, that is the dumbest and lamest excuse for you not getting in a class. That's what you are. Those of you who are like, it's just not, they don't shoot back at you. You're telling me basically you've never been to a class and you don't want to train. That's what you're telling me. So, all right, with all that being said, let's throw it out to some IDPA action and get some other guys' takes on some IDPA. Please enjoy, and we'll see you right back here in a few minutes, maybe? I don't know. I'm here with the guy that I like to call Chewy, or AKA, we'll call you Andrew.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Because that's actually his name. So, how long have you been shooting IDPA?
Probably 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years.
Yep.
How really horrible were you when you first started?
DQ'd my first match.
That's pretty awesome, by the way.
Yep.
It was my 42nd match when I DQ'd.
So I beat you in something.
You did. You got first place.
First place DQ, gotta love that.
Yes. So, how did this change your approach to training? Did you want to just game it all, or did you actually try to apply this I want to be better in self-defense?
This is a game, without question.
Yeah.
Within a game, I like the fact that it reinforces the things we teach in training. It reinforces accuracy, gun handling, safety, working around corners, slicing the pie, things like that.
So mental capacity to process information as it happens.
Absolutely.
Too. Shot timer goes beep and everybody's like you can see the first timers and even some of the experienced guys for just a minute, there's a couple of seconds, their brain just goes.
It's like the little flashy thingy in Men in Black.
Yes, you forget where you are for a minute. So the other side of that too, would you say then being quick, fast, accurate, and being able to mentally process through a stage is actually helpful in self-defense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of that is safe.
Right.
So can we do all those 4 things and stay safe at the same time?
Right. Minding muzzle all the time.
So it can be really easy to think about running through a stage and forget my gun is pointed where it shouldn't.
Right.
So because safety is reinforced, you have no choice but to stay safe the whole time.
How often do we see that happen? It happens every few matches, right?
It does.
Where somebody just is and they realize it as soon as they've done it too. But I like this a lot for that reason, because it forces you to mind muzzle.
Yes.
While you're still trying to process what you're doing, engaging multiple threats, the occasional malfunction, we've all been there.
Yep.
And then of course having to reload, and they're forced reloads. You don't just get to, you don't just get to 21 round capacity and run the stage unless you're one of those PCC people, which those are weird people. We don't even like talking about them. But I appreciate you taking the time out, man.
No problem.
I'm gonna get down now.
Good talking to you.
Great talking to you. Good luck tonight.
We are at Royal Range. We're going to have our semi-monthly IDPA match here. We do this every first and third Thursday of the month. It's an opportunity for shooters to compete locally against other shooters and get a chance to experience using your firearm in a different way than just normal everyday training or standing in a stall and shooting statically.
On top of that, you get to meet all kinds of cool people from all walks of life, from lawyers to construction workers to fire marshals, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. You also can bring your carry gun and get proficient with how you carry, and actually get some training in with your actual carry gun, first and third Thursdays, twice a month.
That's the real benefit of competition, is it gives you an opportunity to test your skills. Everyone should be training, everyone should be doing what they can to get, if you're going to carry a firearm, it's a responsibility. You need to take that responsibility seriously, get proficient with it, and it's more than just being able to handle the gun at the line. It's able to move around and protect yourself, protect your family.
All right, I'm here with King. This is like the prototypical IDPA guy, right?
Yeah, FUD.
FUD. So, been shooting with him a long time. I've shot 60 plus matches up here now, and it is only joyful and fun when he is here. So, I know, I just really put you on this pedestal. But give us kind of a brief on some people that might be on the fence about getting involved in this.
Yes. Well, first to clarify, I think that everybody just assumes I'm the nice Joe because I'm not always being angry and ornery with people, but it's just because, I'm a generally nice person and I'm a people kind of guy. And so, bottom line is I'll help you. That's what I do. I try to help people if they want to come out and they want to get better at shooting. IDPA is a great place to start, and even if you are somebody who's experienced, you can get a lot out of it because it focuses on the fundamentals of your actual weapon manipulation. You're going to have to know how to reload it. You're going to have to know how to draw from a holster. You're going to need to know how to fix a malfunction. So it can be intimidating for the newcomers, but
And you're going to have to keep it pointed in a safe direction
always
the whole time.
keep the
That's
weapon.
right.
If you follow the fundamentals as Jeff Cooper has spelled them out for us, you will not have a problem with this sport. But we cannot take safety for granted. We must be very strict about it. So just know that if you come to a match, we are going to be strict about safety, but the rest of it is just a fun time, as Jeremy has mentioned.
And a lot of people are really encouraging. We have 40 plus people here tonight, and I have yet to be at one where I felt intimidated or judged. Even my first match, I kind of walked. I was really slow, man. I still have some of that footage. I might roll some of that footage now during this.
Good idea.
To see how slow I was. But everybody was super encouraging, giving tips where they could. And then as I got better, I pretty much told people to stick their tips somewhere else.
We all have to start somewhere.
That's right.
I started shooting about 13 years ago, and I started out as a marksman, and I've worked my way up to master level in multiple divisions. And so it's you get out of it what you put into it. And IDPA is a great sport, and it is a good way to get into the game because you don't have to have the latest gear, the most expensive guns. It is made for the person that's really just looking to shoot their carry pistol. Or just any stock pistol off the shelf, and again, it's going to focus you on accuracy, and then speed will come once you learn the game. But it's going to really focus you on accuracy, where other sports, it's kind of the other way around. It's more speed
and then occasionally you get good hits.
And occasionally you get good hits, which is all good.
A hits and then C hits, Alpha Charlies all over the place.
There are a lot of different shooting sports, and everyone has to figure out what works for them. But I like the fact that IDPA works great for the new shooters as well as the experienced shooters, and it's really just about what you're looking to get out of it.
Last key point. So you mentioned people being able to shoot with their carry pistol, which I do a lot. how would you say that this would help someone learning to be better in the self-defense realm? So we talked, there's gaming aspects to this, but then there are aspects that you can absolutely apply to self-defense, yes?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, we even call it, for instance, in December, we do a little thing amongst our group of friends that we call it EDC and DEC. So everyday carry in December, and everybody, most of us, will bring our carry gear and we run it, instead of outside the waistband holsters, we run it inside the waistband. Well, yeah, with our we just run it with a t-shirt over either an appendix or, you know, at the 3 or 8 o'clock, and depending on your left or right. But how you carry is a great way to come to this match, and then you are practicing in a scenario stage, like, okay, what happens if you go to the drugstore and the worst case scenario happens? You could see that this could be something that would give you at least a stress factor, because the pressure of the buzzer going off is a big one. That a lot of people
on that,
brain scramble, and so just adding pressure to the already difficulty of trying to get the weapon out from concealment, firearm manipulation, manual of arms, all that stuff while under the time clock, and then, you know, again, just can you take on multiple targets? Can you do the transitions quickly, easily, efficiently? And so you take that and then you translate that into any defensive pistol course like what you teach, or defensive rifle or anything else, but it's the same principles of being able to understand what you're doing. And in this way, it's a fun, you know, not so serious and just a little bit more frivolity type of an environment, but it definitely translates to the ability to shoot better. And this is some way to get there.
I appreciate you, man. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. You
As
too.
y'all heard, we got to go to a shooter's brief. It's something about that. So let's burn it down. Thank you. Oh man, a lot of good stuff there. I love those guys. I love going up there and shooting with those guys. Great personalities, as I hope you could see there, and just a very good, encouraging bunch to be around. Everybody, again, it's a good group of guys to train with. I consider every match that I go to a level and form of training event, because I learn something and my brain processes things as they happen up there. Another thing I want to bring to the attention of people when we shoot up there is, here I'm holding a Staccato C2. Yeah, we're free and clear, don't worry. Safety check before we even started. But I wanted to point out that I do enjoy seeing people shoot what I would call race guns. And then I run up there and shoot this little P365. Sure, it's the Spectre comp, and sure, I changed the grip out. This is by no means a competitor gun at all. But I like to shoot it, and I like to train with it because it's what I carry every day. And it absolutely has made me better with that gun to be able to run it in a competition setting. And absolutely feel really dang good about what I'm able to accomplish with such a little gun in this setup. This is exactly the way I would run a stage in the appendix position. Now, have I ever shot other guns up there? Absolutely. You know, bigger full-size guns, absolutely have done that. When I first got involved in competitive shooting, back 6 years ago, I guess it's been 6 years now. Golly. I started out with, you know, like the big 320 X5 that was their competitive gun. I shot a P229. Phenomenal gun, by the way. I love that gun. That might be sitting up here behind me. Oh, yeah, it is. Hey, look at that. I shot the big full-size stuff, but then again, when I realized, hey, I want to train and be better with my carry weapon for self-defense reasons, that's why I shoot this now. And I take great pleasure in beating people who are shooting what I would call the race guns or competitive guns. So do I beat them all? No, I don't. I'm not there yet. But it's fun times anyways. Guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been great. We went a little longer than what originally intended, but it was a lot to peel back. It was a lot to talk about. And I hope this helps if you're on the fence about getting into the competitive world of shooting. Hey, you might not like it. It's okay. you might not be able to turn that switch and say, well, this is to help me get better in the self-defense realm. Maybe you can't. It's whatever. It's not for everybody. But I will tell you, a lot of people that I've gotten involved, even my wife getting involved in shooting it for the first time last year, she sees the benefits of getting involved in something like that. There are a lot of benefits, a lot of good things, and you're also getting to know other people, meeting new people that have and share a lot of the same ideas that you do, and being able to support the Second Amendment and carry a gun for protection and preserving life. It's a great community that those competitive realms and worlds and arenas have built for us, and they continue to build. USPSA, another good one if you want to get involved. I have only shot one USPSA, and I don't have anything wrong with it. I probably need to shoot more of it before I really form a good opinion about it. But from what I've seen, it's good stuff. But that's what I would. I hope this helps. Again, the goal here was to introduce you guys and kind of show you a little bit of my journey, where I've come from and how I've gotten here. And again, I think it can be really helpful in the building the mindset and self-defense and the competitive world. Last thing, remember it's 2024, presidential elections coming. Get out, vote in your local stuff too. You can affect change there, but perhaps just as importantly, be careful how you vote with your dollars. If you're flushing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year into a company that is not for what you stand for or what this country stands for, that's really a big reason why we have the problems we have that we're facing today. Spend that money, that hard-earned money that is yours. Spend it in places you want to see succeed. Sure, there are times you have to shop the bigger grocery stores. Okay, I get it. But you don't always have to go to the other big box stores to get what you need, right? You can start shopping small business and local business. I appreciate you guys very much. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'm looking forward to kicking more of these off with you down the road. This has been a fun time, great segment. Again, if you're one of the businesses that wants to get involved and would like us to come on site and shoot an episode there and talk about your business, please reach out, find us, and contact us through our website, through our email, and we'll set something up. I'm very excited where we're going to go with this. And again, it's a very big passion of mine to support small and local business. I hope we can continue to work through that. You guys train hard, train safe. Guys, again, if you could help us out on our YouTube channel, continue to grow the channel, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notifications button so you know when we post new content. I appreciate you guys very much. Hey, Jeremy with Middle Tennessee Firearms Training. Educate, train, defend. Hope to see you on the range.